Hello everyone, welcome back to Glass Academy Webinars 2022. The theme for this year is Ideas in Architecture, expanding to innovation, design thinking, emerging trends around the world and sensibility. Today we have with us architect Priya Shyam, Director and Design Principal at Design Sync Collaborative, a firm based in Bangalore. Architect Priya leads the urban design, architecture and master planning team at Design Sync Collaborative. She received her BH degree with first-class honors from Sir J.J. College of Architecture, Mumbai, and completed her master's in BEM Management, that's Building Engineering and Management from SPA New Delhi. With a key focus on robust design processes, she is passionate towards research and human-centric designs. Welcome, Architect Priya. We are delighted to have you on board with us, and we are looking forward to your presentation, to hear from you about your philosophies and some projects. Over to you.
Thanks, Nikita. Thanks everyone at the Glass Academy and Ethos team to have me here. It's my pleasure to share some of our works and take you through certain principles we followed all through the last 2 decades to reach here. Without further ado, we'll take you through the work. So today's theme of what we're going to talk today is about using stations as a catalyst for urban regeneration. So in the last 2 decades, we've worked across various aspects of stations, wherein we've done master planning, we've done concept design, we've done pre-tender services, we've done lead design checker services now for Chennai Metro and Bhopal Metro. Then we worked with Southwestern Railways for a couple of stations for redevelopment. So with the gamut of all this work, today what we're going to share with you is like 2 stations and a metro station. The context of the discussion today is to understand that stations are a part of a city and they are a part of an urban environment and they cater to a certain demographic, right? And they are always located in a context. The context can be sometimes historically significant places, or it could be a market, a bus stand, or it could be a stadium. Could be whatever, but each particular station is located in a particular context and it's our duty to respect it and take ahead the ethos of the station. So what we believe is the very purpose of a good station design is to decongest, right? And a city is defined by its transport system. So if that does not work smoothly, we are all at a standstill. The best example is Bangalore with its rains and its clogging traffic. So today, looking at one of our approaches, our approach to urban design and station design in general is always starting from the first principles. So most of you as architects or as non-architects would have known about Kevin Lynch. In 1960, he wrote about a book, The Image of a City. And in that context, he meant that the structure of a particular urban fabric means its relationship to other elements, right? So we took this concept ahead for our overall practice, and we understood and we created a certain approach for ourselves. Our approach is to always have these 5 points done when we do station design. That is to have an imageability of a space, that is, it should have a certain recall value. The identity and the structure of the urban elements, that is how it relates to its larger pattern of other elements. Then its physical, cultural, and historical layer, which overlaps the city and the particular station. There's minor interfaces of the paths, edges, nodes, and landmarks it is in. And overall understanding that transport is a spatial syntax for movement. So movement is our primary guidance factor here, right? So taking this ahead, we wanted to show you today 3 stations. So one is a metro station and 2 are our urban interventions, which are at Mysore and Yashwanthpur. So we'll start with Airport South Metro Station. So Airport South Metro Station is located at Wardha Road. It's a gateway to Nagpur city. It's one of the first metro stations which you visibly see on the road, although the line goes up to Mihar. But this is a station which flanks the Wardha Road, and it has the railway line on the right, and you see the complete building as such. So it's like a station which welcomes you to Nagpur. This is an image we started with. We created that we wanted the station to be a welcoming image, which it had to have a certain recall value, and it had to interface with all this. So I will share with you the way we processed with the design, what all we achieved during the design, and how we went about the overall thing. Now, this station was a different station. It was not elevated, and it was on the ground, something like a normal railway station. But the challenge was it was a small piece of land, which was like a 25-meter by a 70-meter box. So literally, our station was like a small box, which is a 25-meter by 70-meter, and a small tiny building, which would stand as such. But that would kill the whole purpose of the station being at the strategic location where it is. So there were challenges where we looked at how do we create this place to renew the urban area around it. Because when a city comes up with a new metro, unlike a huge city like Bangalore or Mumbai or Delhi, when a new city comes up with a metro, it adds on, there is a lot of aspiration value attached to these systems, right? So we had to convince Nagpur Metro to look at the station not as only a small box, but as something with a lasting memory, something which changes the way people look at transit in itself, right? So that's what our challenge, which we took up as. This was some of the other side of the road. I'll take you quickly through the plan for you to understand. So this was the Wardha Road, which was there. And what we have is the other road, and this is the Shevangaon Gaon below. Okay. So once we have the Gaon below, this Gaon had to have an access to the Wardha Road. So once the station line came in through, we had to create an road on the left, and then as the line rises up, it will connect to the Wardha Road through an underpass. So now the station had a face facing the Wardha Road and another face facing the Shevangaon, which was equally important. The other challenges which we faced here, which is unlike the other metro stations which you see all through the country, was the land was very slim and very minimalistic. So we came up with new ideas wherein we combined a lot of functions within one room. We reduced the land footprint simply so that we are able to achieve the other objectives which we planned for. Okay. These are some of the other technical drawings which we went through. Some of the cross sections which we did. Now, this is the station which it is currently built. Now, where we pushed the envelope was we got Nagpur Metro to design like a 132 kilowatt solar PV system on the roof. We Singh Gobain helped us a lot during the entire analysis. They did the entire analysis of choosing the glass and putting the overall facade in place. The orientation of the design from the very go was designed such that the south faced and the angle of the roof was such that we get optimum solar radiation to capture on the PV solar system. That's the Wardha Road, and that's the Shevangaon Road, which I did. These were certain other images. So if you recall, the first image of what we designed and what we delivered was exactly the same. Okay, this was the station at the entrance. This was the station during construction. We created a huge light well within the station, such that the station is lit throughout the day and it does not require any lighting through the day. This was the additional feature which we added. If you recall the top, which we did, we added a huge auditorium above the station here. and this served as an impetus to the city. Now, what it served is what you will see in the slides ahead. On the very first 5 days, they held a huge exhibition. So now the station is a public space. There's a huge auditorium, come an exhibition space above the station. So people visited and they understood the overall system of metro. They also had other exhibitions. The place also functions for, as marriage halls and certain things. Now, what it helps is that when many people visit such public spaces, people do not need to get their cars. They leave their cars at the place where the first metro line starts, and they reach this place because they do not have to walk further. The place of transit serves as a destination in itself. That's the overall other exhibitions going on. That's Mr. Ramnivas. He believed in us. He was the design chief for the overall metro, and they believed that this could take it ahead. Not many engineers in the government believe that certain other functions could be done in a metro and it could be successful. Now, with all our efforts, we developed with DRDO the first biodigester for the station. This station, we are proud to say, is the first platinum rated green metro station in India. It is sustainable throughout. All natural light, natural wind is used to ventilate and light the station. 65% of the energy required for the station comes up from the solar power which is installed. Water conservation is done to the core. Biodigesters are used. We installed a complete for the last mile connectivity, complete station with the cycle stand. So people go to station now with taking cycles from here on higher. We'll also show you a small video clip of how it is today. So we'll share the video of how it is built today, exactly as what we envisaged. Nagpur Metro went on to add further solar panels on the flat side. So this is a video of the as-built taken by a drone. You will see it's located at the vantage point. That's the airport. The flight path just takes about through that. Here we wanted to emphasize that the curve and the sweep, everything was calculated as per the solar angle and as per what's required for the station. Right? And that's how we were able to achieve the function to the form within the budget. So that was Nagpur Airport South Metro Station. We go ahead. Now we come to a railway station, which is Mysore Railway Station. Now, Mysore Railway Station, as most of you are aware, it's at a very historically significant place. It's a gateway to the culture of Karnataka. So our urban intervention to this station had to be very nuanced. It had to take care of the heritage and the cultural values. The station was a Grade A heritage building. So the conservation aspects had to be taken care. And then our interventions should be such that it had to blend in all the modern functions which it requires today, as well as respect what it stood for. that's what we did. Running you through a couple of challenges which we had at this station. Now, that's the Mysore railway station. It has the line going through. That's the Irvin Road. Now, what happens at this station particularly is like the bus stops are located here. So, and Mysore, as most of you all know, is home to Mysore Dasara. And during all the weekends and during Mysore Dasara, we have a huge amount of people rushing into this station, and they come in through hordes and they walk on this line, and they try to find their path inside the station. So our challenge was to ease the complete traffic in this zone and create a customer and a user experience such that they have a lasting recall value. Now, certain other aspects which we had. Now, people coming to the city, people who come to a new city, there are various types of people who come to a new city, right? Today, we have migrant laborers, we have people who are just using the station for their work, or people who are using it for leisure. Now, if you look at a migrant laborer, when he comes to a new city, our thought was that we want to inspire him. So his first image of what he comes should be a wow movement. And also this movement or this thought should be carried with people who are living the city, right? With that, all these aspects and the functional aspect and the heritage and the cultural is what we started. So this was a little zoomed in image of the same plan, which we are showing earlier. Now, this is you would see that the traffic is all piled up at the entrance, and there's a huge chaos which happens when people have to reach. And this is all the people across, this is all tarred area. And that's how this is the railway divisional office, and that's the station. This is how the station was when we started with the work. That's traffic piling up, those are the corridors, that's the whole parking lot. This is the PRS, which is at a state of dismay. This is where the people were booking their tickets, and that's the entrance area. We picked up one by one the areas, that is, what were our issues? That is lack of clarity in movement patterns. There are gray areas in circulation, and the realization that there is inadequate definition of pickup and drop-off areas. The second thing which we looked at was what is the station in the day and the night. So the station in the day was a huge building. By night, it was reduced to 1 tower. We looked at brilliant examples in our own country, that's Chennai and VT, where the station is perceived as a complete huge structure through the day and night. So that was something which we picked up. So we looked at circulation redesign, passenger amenities, and to add a recall value. We went back to Kevin Lynch, looked at interfaces, a seamless entry and exit, segregation of different modes of transport, minimum conflict, and preference to pedestrians. Now, segregation to different modes of transport was like through four-wheelers, private cars, autos, two-wheelers. So when the station was designed 150 years back, there was no Ola, Uber. I was not waiting for an Ola before. I was booking an Ola at the platform, then waiting for him at the station, trying to first search for him. There was no value of that Ola is coming to drop me and then trying to wait somewhere to pick up another passenger. So all these scenarios were mapped and designed for. We used urban design as a tool to reconcile the many conflicting forces around transport design. We looked at NACTO, all the design principles. We looked at aesthetically to add value to gray areas, widen the sidewalks, and add appropriate landscape elements to create soft boundaries. Our first idea was to create this as a one-way traffic. So everybody goes through, there is a drop-off for various modes. We segregated all of them to private cars, Ola, Ubers, auto rickshaw drop-offs, private cars, and auto rickshaw pickup points. So you would see that all the drop-off will happen at the edge so that people don't have to cross. Once the drop-off is done, the cars or the autos will come back and join and merge the outside. Autos who have already dropped will go into a bay where they could be a pickup point, and people will be picked in and join the traffic merging. Pickup for Ola and Uber was done at this thing. So once he drops off, either he gets into this parking and he waits, or he comes out and he picks up his customers from here and he does that. By doing this simple intervention, we were able to achieve a lot. What we did was to recall and do this overall modeling of the station. We created clear pathways. The pathways were designed, redone, and it was seen to it that we don't do a simple pattern, which is seen on various sidewalks. We added beautiful features to close the parking area, and what a person sees is something beyond. We added streetlights, we added heritage lamps across the place. The overall dump, which we had seen on the first slide, was created to a wonderful plaza. The traffic earlier, which was before, was now converted into this, a clean plaza. The chaos of the previous traffic before was made into a one-way traffic for autos to drop off. The entire place was cleaned up and all signages aligned and all hoardings removed. So Mysore is a no hoarding station now. This was the pathway before, and we created a pathway where it was a unidirectional movement. The pathway nudged people to be going in one direction. This was the dump earlier. This was the plaza which was developed right at the entrance. So this is now used for small functions, and that's how the overall station looks today. We added heritage elements across corridors. We changed the tiles to a much better looking place. This was the old PRS, the way people used to book tickets. We converted it into a beautiful place with proper signages, and people could sit comfortably and use. And that's how we lit the station today. That's how it is now. And at night, in the day, we are proud to say today that a bus can come in, easily turn, drop off people from villages who come for Dasara. There are about 6 lakhs clicks at this station, and that's how the overall station is done up now. We also want to show you something for Yashwantpur. This is a station located at Bangalore, which is like in an urban environment. Okay, so Yashwantpur will show you through a small video. That's Yashwantpur. This is how the station was before. So it was metro there, and this is all the dump around. That's the Tumku Road highway. We believed we can transform spaces. We created a new access. We used landscape to soften things, we used art. We wanted to have seamless connectivity from the metro to the station. That's most of it.
So thank you so much for such an informative presentation, Architect Priya. It was very interesting to see how one can innovate in large scale projects such as these, which are about transportation spaces and public spaces, which are often sometimes considered as boring topics by a lot of people, especially in the student fraternity. And it was very insightful to see how urban regeneration can happen through sensitively designed infrastructure projects as well. I'm quite sure the viewers have learned a lot from your presentation and are curious to know more. I'll take the liberty to ask you a few questions, and we'll add on more once the video receives more questions on the platform. So here's my first one. We see that advances in technology are expanding, innovative transit opportunities in urban areas and around the world. So what are some design innovative strategies you have used to resolve, conflicting movement patterns, whether it's pedestrian or vehicular, the transport system itself? So what are your thoughts on, designing the circulation strategies to take care of these multiple layers?
So one of the first things which we used was basic design. We go back to the first principles. Before innovation, we went on to the first principles is to segregate. So look at each case scenario and answer each honestly, like, okay, how do each person gets his answer at the station? Like, segregate everybody and then not do a mass one whole solution to everything. That was the first thing. Okay. Second thing in innovation, for example, in Mysore, we use something called as a nudge theory, which is used in psychology. So if you see the pathway, which we designed, which we had shown you, the pathway was used and done by basic, simple, dark gray, light gray, and terracotta colored paper blocks. But it was not done in a checkered pattern that everybody just walks like a horde. Okay. Now, nudge theory, what it does is, the nudge theory psychology, what it does is like you nudge a person to do the correct thing by not making him really make a choice, but helping him to make the choice, right? So if I had to make people walk in a line, I don't need to provide railings at 600 center to center each and then make people walk into a line. What I had to just nudge him in the pathway with subtle variations in the colors at that same 700 mm center to center, such that when people see that going across for a kilometer, they will walk on a line. Okay, so that's something which we used, and that added to the colorfulness of the pathway, which is like almost half a kilometer long, and it's still not a checkered thing which is done all across the country.
Right. That's definitely a new way of putting together the pattern. So since when you're planning these transportation hubs, I think it involves a lot of planning, right, from the macro to the middle and to the micro level. So while designing or having this project on the drawing board, what are some ways in which you try to sync these three levels, I would say, or go from micro to macro, or do you go from macro to micro, and are there any specific points that you keep in mind?
It's always a swing, but our micros and our middle ground is already defined as a firm. Like as a collaborative, we want to be green, we want to get in as much as sustainability, and we want to involve people in the most comfortable way, and we want to include art and recall value. This is our underlying thing. So the middle ground is already set. Now, how this middle ground moves to the macro, to the micro, is we manage across projects. So our path is set, which is our middle ground.
Very nice. And do you think, especially these days, students are very much involved or concerned about the different software skills they know and what are, because it's technology changing so fast, I think, in the architecture world. So in your particular office or these specific projects that we saw, did technology have a major play in terms of any simulations or any specific, interventions where technology really helped you?
So technology does have a role to play. I myself do one course a year, a new course a year to keep myself updated after 2 decades. So it has a role. We did simulations for all the solar gain, for all the crowd analysis. So when you say a transport hub, it's just not a basic structure, right? There is a lot of safety and concern and all that. So there is a crowd analysis done. There was solar analysis done. There was heat gain analysis done. There was analysis done for the mechanical ventilation, how much power it will take in. So, and the softwares which we use are all the basic SketchUp, CAD, Rhino, Revit, you would say maybe a bit of Sapphire. Basic, which is used in all across all offices in the, and I think all the students today are blessed with all of it. They are good enough.
Yeah, familiar. Yes, they're already familiar. So I'll take my last question for the session right now, is that you showed us that the South Metro station that you showed us on screen, it uses quite a bit of glass for the exteriors. And what, according to you, are some other glass trends that are emerging, especially with respect to, such buildings which are of public use or public spaces?
So a public building basically has to be transparent. Okay, that's the first thing for safety. It's the double-edged sword which we deal with, right? So if I have to build something above, either it has to be open or it has to be transparent. Now, having said that, we have to deal with a certain amount of glass. If you're looking at doing an auditorium somewhere in Nagpur, then we have to have certain sound enclosures, certain things, or if the space had to be used for an exhibition or a large-scale gathering space, the safety had to be taken care of. Now, once that came in play, the glass did have to come in play. Once the glass had to come in play, we had our happy team from St. Gobain who helped us across. They did the simulations with us through the project, and low-E glass was used. We had a certain tint which was taken care to match the reflectivity at Nagpur. Calculations were done, and then it all fell in place together as one whole platinum rated green solar building, right? So that's where we are. So to emphasize back, if you need safety at a public place, it has to be transparent, and that's where it has to start, or it has to be open.
Right. I think that's a very interesting take. I've heard so many, qualities and factors about why glass is used, but this is something not explicitly mentioned. And I'm very glad that you brought it out, that, the safety and transparency in public spaces is so important, and glass kind of enables that, like you showed in the case studies. So thank you so much, Architect Priya, Shyam, for this very interactive and useful presentation. On behalf of all of us at Glass Academy and Ethos, I'd like to thank you again for sharing your thoughts with us today. We'll connect with you for further questions that come in from the audience once we broadcast this video. And thank you once again.
Thank you so much.